Oh my gosh, there it is too. They're sending that couple that was in the other video, the people who seem to be on drugs who came to trespass, they're sending them over here. They had them out when I left last night, and now they're sending them, you can see, coming on this side of the street. You probably saw them in the other video when they're all methed out of their minds and trespassing on the property. So they're sending them down here now. I'm going to cross over to avoid any contact with them. They had them out when I left last night too. I'm going to stop it now because I saw it crossed. It's all theater. No one headlights yet. Let's see. Police drive by there tonight at the one as I leave for work. Get the drive by. Motorcycle guy on the right side of the street there. It looks more like an electrical bicycle actually. That's one of those, yeah. Motorcycle guy tonight there on the right side there, you can see him there. Okay, so there's another one there. That's two. Three. Yeah, okay. Okay, so you got another one here? Just three. Okay. So three there in a matter of just a minute there. They're told not to interact or say anything either. They're told very specifically just to do the drive-by or do the synchronization, but don't interact. I mean, unless, you know, obviously if a targeted person says something to them, they'll try to gaslight or whatever, but typically they're told not to interact, not to even look over usually, and they don't. So they maintain plausible deniability to some extent by doing that, right? But that kind of disappears when you see how frequently they show up too. Yeah. Police car coming with flashing lights here. They're gonna come past and probably put the siren on. Let's see if they are. Yeah, it is. Oh, it's an ambulance. Sorry. Is it an ambulance? Yeah. Ambulance. Or a fire truck. Sorry, fire truck or ambulance? Ambulance, okay. That's an ambulance. Turning right there, you can see. So we got, so far tonight, a police car and an ambulance as I leave for work. No siren on that one. Turning right there, obviously, pretty obvious. And they're sending this person to kind of stand over here by the stop as well. One headlight car there as well, following just behind the ambulance. So a fair bit of activity tonight here. Like I said, you don't see them quite so often here, the ambulances. It's more just the police in Gatineau. Just because, I mean, not that they wouldn't use them, they do sometimes, but they don't quite have the resources in terms of those things, like the fire trucks and ambulances, as they do in Ottawa. So anyway, a police car and an ambulance tonight as I leave for work. Then again, you can see where it turned. It turned literally right next to where I'm standing here. It turned down there. No siren, like I said, but lights flashing. One headlight car there as well, following just behind the ambulance. So a fair bit of activity tonight here. Now in Ottawa, they use all of these things. Noise campaign, another one headlight car right here. Yeah, in Ottawa they use special constables, police, fire trucks, ambulances, all of them. You know. So here, typically, it's just the police. Like I said, you will occasionally they'll use ambulances. Very rare you see them using a fire truck here for it. I have seen it before, but it's not very typical here in Gatineau. But in Ottawa, they will use them. And in Toronto, it's all the time. All of the above, all the time. They'll use all of them consistently. As well, in Toronto, they use a lot of the city employees who work for the city. They had this, okay, so that's 5 bikers tonight so far. So there's 2 more there. By. Yeah, so they had this one occasion when before I woke up to what it really was, and where I was working in near the downtown Toronto area as manager of security operations, and I had to check on a lot of buildings at nighttime. So I was out checking on some of our main buildings, and they would have these people right across the street. Was this area where these street sweepers were kept for the city of Toronto? So it was like an area where they the loading area for them and all that. So they would pull out with these street sweepers, and they kept doing this thing where they drive like right up close and just narrowly avoid driving into me. But I didn't think anything of it for a while until like the one night when I'm going up to check the door of. Oh, there's another. Is that a police car on the left there? Yeah, it looks like it's coming down too. And when they did that, so quite a bit of activity here. Yeah, I think it's a police car down there. It's too distant yet. It's probably going to come down here. Yeah, it's a police car. Yeah. Okay, we got this siren too. Yeah. And then turned it off again there, right there. They've done this numerous times. They're not dealing with anything legitimate. And they're criminal stalkers there. So, see, right there. See, they're turning there. So yeah, so that's something fake up down there. And again, that would be okay. So 2 police cars and an ambulance tonight. Wasting resources and continuing their incessant stalking here. And then turned it off again there, right there. They've done this numerous times. They're not dealing with anything legitimate, and they're criminal stalkers there. So, see, right there. Yeah. They're turning. So back to what I was saying. So basically, there was a situation where one night I was out checking. They had done this numerous times where they had these street sweepers just narrowly avoid just crashing right into me. And another cop car, let's see, pulling out over there on the right side. So 3 police cars tonight. And so what they did was, I was checking the doors of the one building, and as I was doing so, is this the bus here? Oh yeah, it is. Okay, I'll get back to it. I'll continue this talk when I get to Ottawa. I'm not going to talk about it on the bus, obviously. Obviously. Let's see here. So right behind me, see a more bike up there, you can see that, right? They sent that person, that woman, the 2 people who showed up right as the bus arrived. So first they sent a biker gang to arrive right as the bus arrived. Very clear there. Biker gang driving by right past to synchronize with the bus arriving. Then you saw the numerous police cars and the ambulance. But then as well as that, they had that female had been the same one. Remember in the previous video I showed her wearing the black hoodie and they're sitting in front of me. So they've got her getting on the bus when I leave at various different times, like all different times. Tonight she got on at the same stop as me, and came right as the bus arrived. So she came up right as the bus arrived. And I noticed when they got there, her and I think I'm not sure whether she was with that other person or not. And then so basically, so I stood aside so they could get on first, and she went and sat in that seat that I often sit on up near the front for that bus. So they had her there. I know it's the same person. You can see she has like a tattoo of a serpent on her hand. So yeah, that was her again. And now they're having her do this at all different times. So when I'm coming home from work, she's on there. When I'm leaving for work, she's showing up right as the bus arrives, getting on, going right to the stop where I get off at and getting off there. And it's happening at all different times. So we keep seeing her. We're getting some pretty good evidence there of stalking there, right? Because we regularly see her at different times wherever I'm going. So. And I didn't start noticing, that started happening. The first time I had ever seen her was when she came and sat in front with the black hoodie. And I only filmed them because, you know, there were so many people wearing black hoodies. So it was her and that other girl. her and that other girl were both wearing the black hoodies, so I had filmed them there, and then since putting them in the video, they start having her show up all the time. So that's what they'll do a lot of times too. If you have like a recurring stalker or whatever, sometimes if you put them in the one video, then they have them continually show up again and again. So we'll see how regularly she shows up. I'm seeing they're having her good on very regularly now. Like clockwork, right? And turning right here. Get a good view of the face here, hopefully. Oh yeah, turning in there, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, stopping right there. Yeah, got a good view there. See if they're gonna stop at the. Okay. See how consistent that is. The moment I come out of there, right away they're positioned right there, and they drive right into the parking lot there. I guess yeah. Precise right there. Let's see here. So it's gonna allow me to cross here. Is he going in? Oh yeah, he's going in, yeah. Again, as it says in the CSIS documents, that's all about intentionally letting the target know. But to anyone else who hasn't seen the other videos I have, you're not going to know how obvious that is, right? Because it looks like, you know, it's something random, but you can see how consistently they do that right when I exit the store. Doing right now is just filling out a form with for CSIS for access to information, and I want to find out specifically. I'm asking them specifically to disclose whether I have been placed on one of their watch lists. I believe I have extensive documented evidence which would be consistent with things that they have shown in other documents, which they refer to as disruption techniques that they use against people who have been apparently labeled domestic terrorists. So that information being consistent with the things that I've experienced and documented, I am requesting that they provide that access, the information whether I am on the list, by filling out this access to information form. You can see here through the Government of Canada, and specifically with the focus being on CSIS, we go down here, the Canadian Security Intelligence Service. So I'm requesting it from them, and this is what I've filled in here. You can do this online, actually. Whether or not they're going to disclose that, I don't know. But I'm filling this out just to make an attempt to see if they will disclose that. So, as I've written here, I would like to ask you to disclose whether I have been falsely labeled a domestic terrorist and unjustifiably placed on a domestic terrorist watch list by your organization. I have reason to believe that I have been placed on such a list based upon many activities which I have documented over the past 2 years, which are consistent with what is described in some of your documents as being utilized as your use of disruption to counter national security threats. I am requesting to know if I have been placed on such a list because, if so, this is not only unjustifiable, it has been done under what I believe to be entirely false pretenses. I am a law-abiding citizen with no criminal record. Moreover, if you are in fact placing people on such lists and using what you describe as quote-unquote disruption techniques, which include continual following of targets by local police and public servants and the utilization of citizens who have also been enlisted to partake in these activities,
then those who have been placed on these lists, particularly those such as myself who have committed no crime, have a right to know what the reason is that we have been placed on such a list, so as to be able to defend ourselves against what I believe are false allegations. So that's the form I'm filling out now, and we'll see if we get any type of response and whether they will disclose this information or decline to do so. I suspect that they will decline to do so. And then moving forward, there are other options as far as what I'm looking into as filing a complaint against CSIS because of this. And also because, well, if they fail to disclose this information, that is also really just goes against basic human dignity. If they refuse to allow someone to defend themselves against false allegations. So we're going to see how this proceeds here. Again, there are many other options I'm looking at. I am also going to be looking at filing complaints against the numerous police departments who have been involved in these organized harassment campaigns against myself, and as well as some of these people who have been used in these stalking campaigns. So I'm going to be doing a lot of research and moving forward in that direction as we move along here in the future. So yeah, so anyway, I will update with regards to how this turns out if CSIS declines to disclose this information. I suspect they will decline to disclose this. So at that point, we will probably move forward with filing a complaint against CSIS. So we've got everything filled out here, and then we'll see next, and look what happens. Error. Due to an error in the application, we are unable to display the content of this page. Please click below to return to the start page to begin your request once again. There's no error. I filled out everything there. So I don't know what's going on here. I've tried this multiple times, sending this through, and it doesn't seem to, this seems to continually come up. So what I might have to do is make the request by mail. We'll look at doing that if we can't do it here. But again, that's convenient that regularly happens when you try and submit this request. Must be just, you know, some random glitch. Because I've tried multiple times now, and the same thing keeps coming up, despite the fact that I've filled out everything that they require accurately. So, yeah, kind of odd that keeps happening. But again, I can definitely send it... well, I'll send it to them by mail, the request as well. There's a small fee, so I'll just pay that and then send that by mail. And then I will update regarding what transpires after, if I hear back from them, if they decline to disclose the information. I have a feeling that they will decline to disclose it. So then we'll move forward at looking at other options from there.